Okay. It took a lot to get here, but we are here. Uh, can't complain. Can't complain. Still waiting for my co-host to get in. I don't know what he's doing, but he's supposed to be in here to talk Silent Hill 2 with me. And we've been meaning to do this episode, for a little while. But just things just not working out. We've had a lot going on both sides. I know I've been busy, so uh, I'm not gonna press him too bad for that. But I've been waiting to. Sorry about that. Just trying to reach out to him. So I think what the issue is so I live in the states, and I'm kind of working on his time. So he might be. I think like right now it's like 4:19 p.m. EST for me, but I think for him it's like it might be closer to like 11 or 12 o'clock, if not a little bit later, because I know they just had a time change. We have one I think on Sunday. So, uh, well, I guess while we're waiting for him to get in, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Deadhead Podcast, episode 59. Jan and I plan on to discuss the entirety of the game. We have both finished it. I know he's on his second playthrough now. I just finished my first playthrough because about all the time I've had for it. But got some thoughts and got some opinions, and I'm looking forward to see what is next as far as what the Bloober team, if Silent Hill, if that property gets to stay with them. I'm also interested to see what the future of Silent Hill is. I'm interested to see what the general consensus of this remake is, which what I'm hearing, it seems pretty positive, but uh, that's you don't ever know. I know some things get reviewed in a weird way. The game has some flaws, for sure. I think we talked about that in our first impressions, but definitely after I've completed the game all the way through, I've seen what it has to offer. And I know there's things that I haven't seen either. I'm pretty excited to see where we'll go from here because I think Silent Hill is one of those franchises, man. It just kind of got left in the dust, with the whole Konami and the Kojima stuff, and I don't even know if Kojima is really a big part. I know Kojima was planning on doing a Silent Hill with Norman Reedus. I think that's the PT, uh, the unreleased Silent Hill game that was supposed to be wild. Obviously with Hideo Kojima, you can pretty much expect it's going to be a pretty wild, wacky kind of uh, kind of story. But uh, yeah. So anyway, that had a lot of things going on with it. That I think would have been interesting. I actually watched somebody recently do a uh, gameplay of the Silent Hill PT demo. I guess PT. What does PT stand for? Is it? I can't remember what the PT is. Anyway, playtest. That's probably what it is. I watched an old video. Obviously, there's people actually. It's funny. Me and Jan actually talked about this in one of our episodes. We talked about how there's actually on eBay there's people selling like PS4 consoles that have not been updated because obviously you cannot play the Silent Hill PT demo anymore. There's actually some consoles for sale on eBay for like I don't even know. Like honestly, if I could, I don't know if I can share my screen with you guys or not. This is a new platform. I'm pretty sure I can, but I'm not going to do it anyway. If you go on eBay and you look up PS4s with Silent Hill PT, they're selling for pretty high price because you just can't find that demo anymore. Especially if you update your console regularly, which most of us do, and most of us have it set where it updates automatically anyway. So even if you did have it, you probably don't have it anymore. But I thought that was kind of interesting. That was kind of cool to see that. I'm kind of fearing that my co-host might be sleeping, which is not good. I'll see if I can ring him. Hello? Shoot, I'll log on in a sec. My my co-host guys. Anyway, so there's actually consoles that are being sold on eBay with the demo on there, and it's really cool, man. To go back and I was watching the Rad Brad. Obviously, most of you guys know who that is. I was watching him play it and seeing his commentary and honestly just seeing what that game could have been. I think it could have been really exciting. It could have honestly with what they were building in that demo, it could have rivaled Silent Hill 2, which is regarded to most people as the best one in the series. I can't really say anything for that because I've only played Silent Hill 2. I think I played a little bit of Silent Hill Downpour or Silent Hill Homecoming. I think it was another one. And I got like halfway through that game and I enjoyed it. But I didn't see it anything else than just some horror game. And I think at the time when I was playing it, I don't know if I was super focused on the story, but to most people, they would say Silent Hill 2 is the best in the series. And honestly, if any of you guys were to say that, I probably wouldn't disagree with you, but I couldn't disagree with you if I wanted to because I haven't played the other ones. Um, but I'm excited to see if this really sparks a lot of people's interest and maybe they can really bring Silent Hill back full swing, whether it be remakes of any of the other ones. I know there's a love out there for I almost said Resident Evil, Silent Hill 3. I know there's Silent Hill. What's it called? The door, I think is what it is, or the room. I don't remember all of them to be honest with you, but I know there's several games in that franchise they would love to see get remade, have a new coat of paint, obviously graphical overhaul, 60 FPS gameplay, uh, for sure. And I'm down. Like I said, I said it in my impressions, and I'm gonna say it here in this stream, and you'll probably hear me say it a couple times. I think this is a solid remake. You know what I mean? It's probably not. If I'm looking at the grand scheme of things, of all the remakes we've gotten throughout the years, um, there's only been like a couple that's really hit really really hard, and to me, that's Resident Evil 2 remake, that's Resident Evil 4 remake, Silent Hill 2 is one of those remakes, and it's not that it really reinvents the formula. It's the fact that everything it does very very well, and I think I've said that in one of I forgot there was another game that we had talked about before where we discussed about how it's not like the game is like super special. It's just the things it does. This game does a lot with atmosphere and darkness, and I think that's what really adds to the experience. Is the it really makes a horror game feel like horror because otherwise there's games out there who try to attempt to do horror like just true horror is not just always like jump scares and just scary things. It's more of just like the atmosphere can really complete it. But Jan, what's
No,
going
I
on,
hear
buddy?
that. Hey, hello everybody. I'm really, really sorry that I'm late. This the time changed, and I got all confused. Then I'm at my it's for All Hallows. Went to parents' place, so the Wi-Fi was all messy. But the important thing is now I'm here, and
That's
I'm ready
right.
to get a recap of what you just said in the past 8 minutes. Excuse me.
Oh, well, that was scary.
It's all good.
That was a jump scare.
Yeah, just to get us into the mood.
No, I was just discussing one of the things I was talking about Silent Hill and just general thoughts and ideas of after playing Silent Hill 2 remake. Because I'm more on the newer side of this franchise.
Mhm.
I I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm kind of interested to see what happens next if we get more remakes or if we get continuation in the series. Whatever they decide to do, I'm all on board for it. But I'm just interested
I
to see
would
if
really
if
hope a
Bloober
revitalization.
I'm just really interested to see if Bluebird keeps it though. I don't know because like the thing I was talking about was I think that the game, uh, one it's a beautiful game for being like mostly in the dark. Like they do a really good job of
Mm.
like the dark feels like super dark and atmosphere alone is it makes this game like top tier. But you know what? One thing I was thinking the entire time I was playing it was it feels like a really good double A game. It doesn't feel like a triple
Oh,
A game. And not I'm not saying it in like a bad way. Like for instance, like Days Gone. I really enjoyed Days Gone. It's a PlayStation exclusive, obviously. But if when you play that game, when it comes to like the gameplay and the things you do in that game, it feels very double A, but it's a fantastic game in my opinion. But just it doesn't have like
Hmm.
that Naughty Dog or like Santa Monica or
It's
something
not
like that.
polished, is what you mean.
Yeah, it doesn't have that, but it's I
Hmm.
mean, but it's very very like if it's a double A game, if I consider double A, it's like right in the cusp of double A and triple A
Hmm.
because I think the game is it's very well done, and we'll get more into it as the show goes on. But I was really impressed with a lot of things I saw, and I was really really invested in everything, and I still have so many questions because there's so much stuff
Oh
going
yeah,
on. But
we
anyway,
got a lot to talk about.
yeah, yeah, a lot to talk about. So anyway, with that being said, that's all we were talking about. Jan, how's it going, dude? It's all good. I was
Uh,
trying to hold it down for you till you got here. How's everything going?
I'm really thankful for that. No, no, really, as I said, I'm in a folks' place. We had a little bit of a party, so forgive me. I did drink a little bit, not too much, just enough to get myself to the mood. So if, so excuse myself for any erratic behavior I might display in advance.
Er- Erratic
Uh,
behavior.
but, but otherwise, I'm pretty good. I'm doing well, enjoying life. I hope this is for you.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, I mean, I'm enjoying it when I'm not working.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm working six
which
days
is
a
not a
week.
lot from what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working 6 days a week right now, and that's been I'm kind of like okay with it. Like I struggled with it for a while. Like, oh man, it sucks. My life is over. Yada yada yada. But now it's just kind of like okay, whatever. Let's just get it over with because then I'll get the next day off. And but the only thing that sucks about that is I feel like my time is going by faster. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it is.
I usually love Halloween. I love the month of October. I'm all about it. And now we're in November, and like I don't even feel like I was able to really like enjoy Halloween. I didn't watch many scary movies. Um, we didn't really do much of anything. My wife, she did something really nice, and she decorated the house for Halloween one day while I was at
Oh,
work, and it definitely did help. But I was just like, man, it just, we just don't have, I just don't have the time right now to do anything. And the time I do have, I'm trying to like you know, spend time with the wife. Obviously, spend time with my baby because obviously I'm trying to build a great relationship with her. And then I get like a couple, like maybe an hour or two in the evening to where I can play a game or have some me time. But the only thing about that is then I'm just so damn tired. I don't even feel like playing. And that's why it took me a little bit longer to finish Silent Hill 2 because, like, honestly, a game like this, I probably would have had it finished within the first week and a half, 2 weeks. But it
yeah,
just, with
it's pretty
everything,
short.
the thing is this yeah well it did take me I was gonna send you a screenshot. It took me like now I will say I did have it on the pause menu for like 45 minutes of this time.
It does not count
It doesn't
pause
count
time.
that. Okay, all right, well if it doesn't
If you're
count
talking
that.
about the in-game timer, it doesn't count pause time.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I'm just talking about like when you just hit pause and it has like
Hmm.
your normal
Yeah.
options, exit, things like that. I had it on there for like 45 minutes because I had to go do some stuff and I forgot to cut the game off. But I think I put like 17 hours into it, a little over
Well, that's,
17. So I took my
yeah,
time with it. I took my
yeah. For
time
a
with it.
first timer, that's average, I say.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of I thought that was nice because it did feel longer in that regard. That's why I was messaging Jan personally, and I was like, okay, like I'm at this part of the game. How far am I? And you're like, hey, and he's like, dude,
Hmm.
you're right at the end. You just got to power through. But it's just like for a game like this, I want to give it my full attention, and if I can't give it that, then I just don't even want to play it. You know what I mean? And it's nothing off on the game. It's just games like this don't come around often. They don't. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not even saying from a standpoint of that I love this game so much. It's just more of a like they just don't come around often, and so I want to take my time with it. But anyway, with that being said, we're talking about the game. We're not actually talking about the game. Um, Jan, let's start with you, man, because I know you played the original. I know you got some thoughts. What are your overall
Yeah.
thoughts after finishing the game?
Okay. Overall, in short, I'm very satisfied in ways that I never thought I could be. Like if you told past Jan that saw the reveal trailer that he would be this satisfied about game, he would not believe you. He would spit in your face. No, he wouldn't. Um, so, okay, one thing first. So, of course, Bluebird Team were the software house that was working mainly on the game, but let's not forget this is not just all. achievement. Masahiro Ito, the original director, came back. He didn't direct; he supervised. He mainly overlooked the design of the monsters, which you can totally tell. The monsters look fantastic in this game.
Hmm.
Akira Yamaoka, the original composer, came back to score, and man, the score of this game is fucking majestic.
Hmm.
Dylan has told me privately that he's been listening to it here and there. I've been listening to it even before the game came out. I love the rearranged tracks. I don't think they overshadow the originals. Sometimes I even prefer the originals, but it feels so nice just to hear these old legendary tracks be given new life, new form, and it's a very beautiful form at that. It doesn't feel cheap at all. They really put their work into this. The environments are beautiful. It's actually beautiful.
Hmm.
Down to the down to every single corner in the street, to every little brick that fell off by a building, up to the every single what do you call them? The little shops, all the little things they got on display. The other world, the murky, dark, just off look uh, that the overworld has is just so perfect. I was so invested in this game. Um, the combat is really nice. We said this before, like the dodge button actually is not just something that is helpful. Sometimes it is an actual lifesaver. You cannot beat this game without that dodge button. I'm sure there is a YouTuber who will do a challenge and prove me wrong, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And um, what else to say? Oh, the dialogue. I really like the dialogue is kept mostly the same, and when it's changed, it's only changed in ways to make it less awkward. They don't really the how to say the juice is still the same,
Right.
and I think they do a fantastic job most of the times. There is a select few moments when I prefer the original lines or the original delivery of the lines,
Hmm.
but here it's fantastic. I really like the way Maria talks in this one. It's a little more subdued, but still very seductive.
Hmm.
I think it's a bit more ambiguous. She gets under your skin, I think, a little more implicitly. I think it's pretty obvious that she's being very flirty. But here, she's putting on an act.
Hmm.
Eddie, Eddie is just so creepy in this game.
Hmm.
He was I don't know if you watched much of the original cutscenes, but
Here and there.
usually the original cutscenes with Eddie are the funniest ones. Not like and it's not on purpose, right? It's accidentally really funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes because of the delivery, sometimes because the way the dialogue is worded. We can't forget the classic. We can't talk about this without mentioning this town is full of monsters. How can you just sit there and eat pizza?
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Uh,
seen that. I've seen that.
yeah. Or when they're in the locker right before the boss fight. So spoilers, obviously. So when you before you fight Eddie in the remake, what happens? They get a little bit of a scuffle because Eddie is just talking absolutely crazy. He's really mad, and he's getting coming at James. James just fucking punches him, right?
Hmm.
So what happens in the original? What triggers kind of Eddie, right? What makes him go over the edge is James saying, "Eddie, are you nuts?" With this exact intonation. Like when he hears that, Eddie's he's had it. He's being super friendly to James up to that point, but now he's overstepped.
Right.
Um, so all of these, so all of these things have been, I don't want to say improved. I think because I don't think that our work can be improved upon. I think it's a really good recreation. It's a really good modern recreation.
Hmm.
Um, and that, yeah, I talk about this a lot. Probably Dylan is like super tired of hearing me say this. But when I look in a remake, it's not something that replaces the original. I want to see something that accompanies and maybe even enriches the original, right?
Hmm.
Lets us see this same thing we all love, but in a different light. Or me, it's. I think this game does that fantastically. I would appreciate a little bit more if the original game was actually available on modern platforms.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that makes people a bit because I think when you look at this one and you look at Resident Evil 2 remake, which came out in 2019, I feel like people are a bit more judgmental. They scrutinize Silent Hill to a little bit more, even though, in my opinion, it does a much better job at recreating most of the original game. But say Resident Evil 2 cut a lot of corners, if you remember. But that
Hmm.
game was, I think, generally well accepted. And I think what, yeah, I don't, I'm talking Resident Evil 4. I'm so sorry, not Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4.
Right, right, okay.
Uh,
I got
yeah,
you.
but and I think what happened, what helped Resident Evil 4 a lot, the remake, is that you can play the original on the same platforms.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
Yep.
so. You know, all the naysayers could be shut up by just saying, "Well, you know what? You prefer the original. You can't play the original. You cannot make the same argument in Silent Hill 2 without jumping through a few hoops." There is
Yeah.
a PC version. There is a PC, but it's an ancient one that
Hmm.
probably is not supported by any modern operative system,
Hmm.
and needs to be modded the hell out just to be even playable, because
Yeah.
the PC ports back in the day were just terrible, right?
You can play it on Xbox actually right now. They do have the
To
the collection. It's like I think 2 and
oh
3,
well,
and it is like a remastered, but that's the one that has Troy Baker as James, I believe. I think anyway.
here's the it is no, you're correct. But here's the catch. That is absolutely the worst way to play the game. The PC port is actually better than that the HD collection. You
Hmm.
might have back in the day, it was a real controversy. And I'm not gonna get too far into it because this is not what the show is about. But pretty much the games are incredibly buggy. There's they were working when they were working on the remasters. They were working on unfinished versions of the game because they couldn't find the master codes or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, as you said, they redub Silent Hill 2. At least in Silent Hill 2, you can choose the dubs. In Silent Hill 3, you can't even choose the original dub. You gotta play the new dub, and I'm telling you, dude, it's real bad. Like it's not. There's frame drops all over the place, freezes, cooldowns. It's terrible, terrible way
Hmm.
to play it. Just don't play it at all. You're much better off just watching a YouTube Let's Play.
Well, see, now you got me interested. If it's for like $5, I might have to scoop it and just see
Well,
it.
you know what? Well, you know what? Be my guest. The Xbox version is the worst one, which is uncharacteristic. Usually, in that era, the PlayStation version was the worst one. Here,
Hmm.
the PlayStation version got an update though that the Xbox version didn't get, which
Yeah.
fixes some of the issues.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that it. I know and I'm not trying to sound like an Xbot, but they do have like all the 360. I don't know how far you ever went. Like, what have you played all the Silent Hill games? Like pretty much
not
all
all of
of
them,
them.
but yeah, but even the ones I haven't played, I have extensive knowledge about them.
Oh, okay. Because like I have like I downloaded. I think I bought it years ago, and I just wanted to try it.
Homecoming.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. I have that one downloaded on my Xbox right now, and I thought it was pretty good. I think at the time when I was playing it, like I wasn't really like super invested in the story as much. I don't know why. I just
Hmm.
wasn't really vibing with it too great. But like the feeling of Silent Hill, like it's got that, and I think it's got Downpour. I think I could get that one, and
Probably also Origins, maybe. I don't know if that got to Xbox.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing that one, but yeah. Yeah. I'll take your word for it. But if it comes down to $5, I'd be at least at
No,
like,
dude. Yeah, but like, okay, do that, but just remember that it's not indicative of the actual game. There are
mm,
a lot of visual errors too. Oh, there's the thing with the fog is almost non-present, and it lets you see. Since the fog is not present, it lets you see things that you really shouldn't be able to see. You can
okay.
see the edges of the map in certain cutscenes that were
Oh,
usually obscured by fog. It's real bad. There's this one oh, do you know the Sun Hill Ranch
yeah, yeah.
in Silent Hill 2? Yeah. So, and you have the little sign that says Sun Hill Ranch. So, in the original game, the font used is a very similar one to the remake. In the HD collection, it's drumrolls, please. Comic Sans. That
Oh,
yeah, that one. Yeah, this is how bad we're talking, and this is actually referenced in the remake. It's a little Easter egg.
oh, really?
You can't see it. Yeah, you can see it normally, but if you manipulate the camera back at the ranch and you use it to see inside the barn, you can see. like a discarded sign that says Sand Hill Ranch in Comic Sans.
Wow, that's cool.
It is really
That's
cool.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's a nice little Easter egg. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, all the little sections of the game where like it makes that weird like twinkling noise and it goes in the first person and you're
Hmm.
looking at a
Yeah.
specific spot. I mean, I know that's all probably all from the original, but I mean, for someone like me, it's gonna go right over my head because
Yep.
I'm not as familiar with the original. But that seemed like a pretty overwhelmingly positive, you know,
Yes,
overall
I
review
am.
from you.
I am very positive. I mean, I have nitpicks, obviously, but overall, very satisfied about this, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I can't wait to hear about your experience, especially. And I told you about this about the ending because
Yeah. There's like
there's a whole
eight. Is
conversation
it
to
like
have.
eight? I think there's like eight different endings, right? I
They
think I've.
added new endings. The original one had six. They added two more, and what's even more surprising is they're actually. I hear they're good. I haven't seen them yet. I only got through the game three times, but
Damn, you've played it three times.
yeah. And
I don't.
I manipulated the saves a bit so I could see at least the original six endings.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Uh,
I got you. So you played through
but
the remake three times.
yes, 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 from start to
Wild,
finish.
wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
It's that fun. It's that good. Dude, I like it that much. And every time I notice something else. Like I appreciate something else about it.
That's awesome. We'll see. Well, just to give you guys some context, if you're new to the channel, Jan was really looking forward to this one. So I'm. It makes me really happy to hear that, for the most part, it met your expectations, and I'm interested to see what you found that was more nitpicky. But uh, I was telling the people before, all in all, I had a really I enjoyed my time with this game. This game is a heavy one. It's a heavy game to get through, and honestly, most games like this, I'm usually pretty eager to do a second playthrough. I'm probably not going to do it with this one for a while
Hmm.
because it's a bit heavier. My ending as well, and we can get into that in a little while. My ending, it's we'll get to that in a little bit. It's a
All
pretty
right.
dark game though, and I think it's pretty heavy in a sense. And I'm not trying to sound like a little softy, but it's not like Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil is very
Oh no.
cheesy at times. It has horror elements, but it's cheesy for the most part. Like I'm playing as a badass Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield or
Yep.
Claire or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
Jill,
American super
whatever.
cop. Yeah.
Right, right. In this game, I'm playing as just American, but he's a
Some
normal
guy. Yeah.
guy who's going through some shit, and you find out the worst kind of shit. Spoiler alert, I guess the game came out 20 some odd years ago. He kills his wife, and it's almost like this whole journey, I guess you could say, is just him dealing with it. And I think
Yep.
I guess for me, like it's such a heavier game when it comes to narrative that I just don't know if I could go back and play it and like really because I'll be honest with you, man. Like all right, just as an overall, I enjoyed my time with it, but I can't say I was having a lot of fun because the
Oh.
game was so heavy in its narrative and the themes that it was addressing. It's not like I was like, man, I had a blast playing that. It's more like this game is really well done, and I've enjoyed going through this narrative, but I can't say that I'm like over the hill excited to play it because I guess like, and I'm not trying to get into real world stuff, but life in general, as hard as it is, and the themes that it tackles in this game is some dark stuff, and we'll get more into that too. But I agree with almost everything you said. I think like Jan had mentioned before, I'm really into this soundtrack, man. I was listening to it on the way home from work actually before I got on the cast. I listen to it at work when I'm just doing just daily tasks. Uh, it's very calming. It's very relaxing. It's very uh, depressing at times,
Hmm.
but it's a very relaxing soundtrack for a horror based game, and that's one thing I was kind of referencing in our last show about like the soundtrack is just all over the place. You have the happier tunes and you have the more of the bleak kind of tunes, and then you have the stuff that's just like cool, like poppy kind of music too, like the music that's inside the bar, Heaven's Night, like when that
Oh
whole
yeah.
sequence where you're talking to Maria, and it's like, damn, am I playing a horror game right now? Like this feels like just straight out of like an old school 2000s film almost, where you got two characters just chilling, having a
Hmm.
drink, and you got this music playing, and that's really amazing when you can have music that varies on that type of level. But yeah, graphically, man, like I kind of want to take back what I said about it feels like a double A game because I think
Hmm.
the attention to detail is high enough for it to be triple A. I just say it's sort of double A because of some of the stuff with gameplay. And gameplay, one of the things I mentioned in the first impressions was that one of the things that frustrated me was that when there's multiple enemies on screen, the combat gets kind of rough. As I was playing it, I started thinking, and I was like, you know what? And I'm not trying to make excuse for the developers, but I imagine even in the original game, combat is a little frustrating because it's supposed to be. Like
Yeah.
James is not an elite super cop like you said. Like this, he's a guy going through some shit and he's trying to survive in his own mind fuck that he created himself. And I think it's supposed to be kind of harder. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get hit from the back and from the
Mm.
side and not see enemies coming all the time because you're just that's just kind of like him, right? He's not a super soldier. And I think when I started looking at it through that lens, I enjoyed the combat a lot more, especially as you get the shotgun,
Okay.
which kicks ass. And then when you get obviously you can't screw up a shotgun too bad. And then when you get the rifle as well, I was kind of not disappointed, but I was actually a little. I thought there was going to be like another weapon towards the end, like to get like just something. I don't know what it would have been. Like I know what it was when I was fighting Eddie. When you have the whole boss fight
Hmm.
with him, I thought we were going to get his gun because it's like a revolver. I was like,
His revolver.
oh man, let me get that, please. It didn't happen. I was looking all around that fat ass's body, and I couldn't find the
You thought you'd miss it.
revolver. I thought I missed it, but I'm looking everywhere. That was probably like some of my 17 hours was I was looking for that gun for like 20 minutes. I'm like, did he just throw it before he died or something? And
you, you know what's
but
funny? In the original game, you can miss out weapons like that,
oh yeah,
like the steel pipe. Like you can't just miss it, and then you're stuck with a plank, with a wooden plank for the rest of the game.
yeah.
So I mean, your fear is valid.
It has some real stakes, and I think to go back on what we were talking about in the first impressions. I was telling you that I had an overabundance of ammo. Like I had like
Hmm.
50 rounds. I had like 15 syringes. I had like 8 health medicine bottles or whatever. I found that shortly after we had that conversation and I got back to playing, the resources got tighter. I noticed that.
Same
Like,
here.
yeah, like it did. Now there was times I did walk in a room and there was like 5 rounds sitting in a chair or something. But other than that, it did start to get a bit slimmer. Like it just, which I did like because that was one of my not gripes, more like nitpicks. Is that I felt like I was kind of overpowered. Like I felt like nothing could stop James, even though he is an everyday guy. I felt like I was still melting everything that was coming my way. Besides the boss battles, obviously they're supposed to be a bit bullet spongy, but I love all the characters, the mysteriousness behind all of them. I still don't know
Mm,
who's real and who's fake. I still don't know to
yeah.
this moment. I'm pretty sure I know of one character that's pretty fake, but the other ones I'm not sure. Honestly, it's kind of messed with me a little bit, and I've been thinking about it ever since I finished the game. Um, but
Do
as
I?
far as generalizations, yeah, man, I did enjoy it, but I will say I don't think I'm going back to this for a while. I think I'm gonna take a little break and go back to it. Maybe 6 months worth of time. The PS5 Pro is coming. I might check it out on there.
Hmm.
For me anyway. Sorry, but
See,
uh,
yeah, see, the
maybe
ray tracing is as messed up in that version.
yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Yeah,
Hmm.
maybe it'll give me a reason to go back to it eventually. But yeah, it's a heavy game, but I did enjoy it, and I just don't. The thing is, it's a quick comparison to compare it to Resident Evil, and I think as far as fun factor, Resident Evil probably is a bit more fun. But if you're looking for
Hmm.
narrative, Silent Hill laps like dog laps, like
Oh yeah.
takes a fat shit on
Hmm.
Resident Evil stories, hands down. And I'm really into Silent Hill and James's story. So, uh, anyway, I'm here for details, man. So
All right.
what are we trying to jump to endings? Or are we trying to jump to other stuff?
Well,
I mean,
let's
what do
say.
you?
Well, actually, I want to discuss with you. You think something very interesting. You don't know which character is real or not. So let's
Hmm.
talk about that. What are your theories on that?
So I'm pretty sure Maria's not real. I'm almost positive she's
Correct.
not real. So I thought I was talking to the wife about this, and I don't know how interested she was, but I was kind of like talking to her about some of the stuff in the game, and I was like, I don't know who this Maria chick is. I know she looks a lot like Mary, and I know that's obviously, and I think kind of sounds like her too, right? At least in the
Yeah,
original
it's the
game, didn't
same
they?
voice actress.
Yeah. So I was like, I know that because of that, Maria obviously caught his attention, but I was like, I mean, obviously, I didn't know about much about James and Mary's marriage. I didn't know if maybe James was like running around on Mary, and maybe
Hmm.
Maria is kind of like and this is just what I was thinking, by the way. This might not be what happened, but I thought maybe like Maria was kind of like a concept he built in his head of like who he wanted Mary to be, because Mary at
Hmm.
that point was sick and bedridden and became bitter, and Maria was kind of who he wanted her to be. Does that make sense? That's what I thought, and I was like, but I was pretty sure she wasn't real, and especially because of the ending I got, now I know she wasn't real. but but for a while there, I didn't know. But then it just made sense because she was saying some weird shit, and there's one point where she says, um,
I know what you mean.
I can be whoever you want to be, James."
And he
And
touches him.
yeah, and I was like, okay,
See,
yeah,
I'm
that's
real.
a demon or some kind of shit right
Yeah.
there. Like I don't know,
Well,
but
I mean, you didn't mention the most, like the most, what's it, blatant. How do you say it? The most blatant clue that she's not real. She dies right in front of your eyes
yeah, yeah,
3 times and
yeah.
still shows up again.
Right. Well, I know he was going through some shit, so maybe there was something else with that. I think this game does a good job of like trying to like misguiding you too, like what's real and what's
Hmm.
fake, and like and again, I'm still at that point where I still don't know what's real and what's fake.
Yeah, it definitely requires like multiple playthroughs to kind of try to piece together. But you're doing well pretty far. I mean, you have come pretty much to what the how do you say it, the consensus is,
Hmm.
and that is Maria is some kind of projection of all of James's frustration, like what he actually wanted. Like he sees Mary, he sees his wife bedridden, and she mentions that her illness made her ugly as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, he just Maria is just this more desirable, more open, right, more available partner that he would have
Yeah.
liked to have.
Yeah, and so I think her dying over and over is a clear indication. Yeah, like definitely she's not real. But I was also kind of like, was she real? Was Maria an actual person at one
Hmm.
time, and maybe he's just manifesting this idea of her?
That's
Um,
interesting.
the other thing was Eddie. I couldn't tell if Eddie was real or not. Like I
Why
really
Eddie?
because I don't know. Like one, why is he there? Obviously, Silent Hill draws people there for different reasons, but I wasn't quite. So I all right. So obviously, there's another character. We'll get to Abigail. Is that her name?
Angela.
Angela. My bad. Sorry, I was thinking about Red Dead for a
It's all
second.
good.
Angela. Yeah, that's a whole other character. I'll get to her in a minute. But I kind of understood Angela's whole thing. She's looking for her mom, right? Where's I need to find mama or whatever. Okay, well she actually has a purpose on why she's here. I didn't understand
Mhm.
Eddie's purpose. Unless I'm just forgetting something. Does Eddie say a reason why he's there?
No, well, okay, so you're kind of off, but just by a little bit. So,
Hmm.
Silent Hill doesn't draw you in with a purpose. I think the purpose in James's and Angela's case is just as an expedient. It's just one of the many ways this town can draw you in. It's not necessarily you don't go there looking for something usually. It just in one way or another you end up here. You mentioned that James is kind of putting himself through this, like the entire game is just his journey. Well, it's pretty much what I gathered from it too. It's like some kind of purgatory. In Angela's final cutscene, you see flames all around. By the way, we gotta talk about the cutscene because that is keynote right there.
Hmm.
But one interesting she says is that so James says, "God, it's hot as hell in here," and
Yeah,
she says, "Oh, you see it too. It's always like this for me."
it's
So
always like
everyone is
this.
going,
Yeah.
yeah. So everyone is going to their own personal, and what happens is that the reason why they're there is because they're dealing with something, right? Because James, yeah, he killed his wife, but it's a little more deeper than that. He's very conflicted about that, and he seeks punishment for that. Pyramid Head, of course, he is the executioner. He is the representation of what James thinks he deserves, right?
Hmm.
To be fucking gutted. um, Eddie, you find out through his dialogue, he got bullied a lot for his appearance, right? He even says
Okay.
he
Yeah.
repeats some of the thing. He says, like I don't know, fuck off, you fat." So he says something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
uh, and while you fight him, it's kind of hard to focus while you're trying to avoid his one shot bullets. But he actually he says that he killed some guy's dog, some guy that was seizing him, and he's really reveling. He's like, "Oh yeah, the stupid dog, stupid mutt." He was like, I don't know, whining all around in his blood, and then the guy came around. He cried more than the dog. So he obviously killed a dog and presumably also the bully, the owner of the dog. Like he my interpretation is he killed the dog to get back at him. Like he
Hmm.
didn't want to kill the bully because he wanted to make him suffer, right?
Right.
So so that's his deal, right? He's also a killer. But he killed as not in self defense, but as a way to lash out, as a way to stand against his bullying.
Hmm. So do we
I mean,
think?
there's
Do
also
we think he's alive? So is he? Well, not alive. Do we think he was real?
I the way I see it, both Angela and Eddie are real, just as James are. The way they interact just makes so much sense for them just to be. That's why they never travel together, because as you said, everyone is in their own journey. They just happen to intertwine here and there. While Maria is obviously way more strictly related to James, as
Hmm.
well as Laura. I'd love to hear
Hmm.
what you think about her.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Laura. Yeah. Uh, what I think about her? Well, I don't really have too many thoughts about her to be honest with you. She seemed like just a
Well,
creepy little girl.
is she
I
real or
don't.
not?
That's a good question. What's she doing? Well, again, but well, I guess the only thing I got from that was is so Laura and Mary they had a relationship, right? Like Mary was kind of looking out for Laura. Where were
Well,
where were where were they at? Like when that whole thing
the
was it at
hospital.
the was it at oh was it the hospital?
Yeah, when DeLorean mentions something about hiding Mir's letter from a nurse, so it's pretty obvious that they met at the hospital.
Right. Is it the hospital like the hospital we walked through
Uh,
or was it just
Brookhaven? No, no, I don't think it's that one because I don't. Mary did not get Uh, she was not spending time at that hospital.
okay?
She was spending time at wherever she and James live.
Yeah.
Because she mentions, her wanting to come back to Silent Hill, so it wouldn't make sense for her to be
Right, right. I got you. I
living
got
there.
you. I got you. See how this game kind of fucks me up. I don't know. I don't know what's way is
Hmm.
up or down. As far as
Yeah,
Laura goes,
that's what I like so much about it.
I feel like Laura is real though. I do, but it is kind of strange that she's there with no one else though. That was the only thing with her that I'm a little sketchy about.
See, here's the thing, because here where I get tripped up too. You know where I get tripped up, like time wise. My question is, when is this taking place? Because Laura, she's a little kid. She obviously did not get drawn into the town, and she has no guilt, right? She has no. I mean, kids obviously can have very terrible traumas, but she doesn't display too much, or at least the game does not portray it as much. Um, so I'm wondering, really, what is she doing there? I do agree with you. There definitely was a little girl named Laura that was, that built a relationship with Mary while she was at the hospital. I believe all of that. I wonder where the Laura we see during the game is real. Because that's my
Mm,
question. Because I cannot explain to myself what the hell is she doing here.
yeah,
Because it would only make sense if she was somehow she she was left there in the hospital. Doesn't make sense for two reasons. Because A, why would any adult do that? And B, she wouldn't be at Brookhaven. She would be at the hospital in whichever town Mary
yeah,
was.
yeah.
So,
I guess now I'm thinking about it.
uh,
Maybe she has more of a ghostly kind of.
and also she doesn't. I mean, there's a little hint in a cutscene that kind of implies that she does not see any of the horrors that are happening. There's a part just before she locks you in with the boss with flash lips.
Yeah,
James, just grabs her and goes, "Hey, listen, I can't have you just running around. This place is dangerous." And she's like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" So
Hmm. Yeah, I don't
so
know.
yeah,
I don't
Laura
know.
is a bit.
Yeah, yeah. That's a that one. Yeah, that one might be the one that I really don't know. Maria,
Mhm.
I know for a fact is not real. Eddie and Angela,
And
I was, I don't know. Like, I guess it would make sense to real. I mean, you kill Eddie. I mean, you seem like you kill him.
hmm
Uh, but then again, I don't know if because the thing is it. I think what's great about this game is a lot of interpretations in the sense that I was thinking for a second that every character was a part of James. Like
hmm
maybe there's
Oh.
symbols for his own psyche, and he's battling with everything he's seeing. So like with Maria, it would be lust, right? It would be what he wants Mary to be. With Eddie, that one's a tricky one because I don't know. Like he said, he's getting, Eddie talks about getting made fun of because of his appearance and all that.
He
Maybe
also has a
James,
food problem.
maybe James was a fat kid growing up. I mean, I don't know.
hmm
Maybe he was a fat guy growing up and he got picked fun, made fun of, and things like that. And then with Angela, I think she's dealing with like abandonment, right? Like where she can't find her mom, and
Well,
then everything with her dad, and
well,
you even fight a version of her dad in the game.
well. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a little bit more than abandonment. I think so. There's something a little bit more severe than that.
Oh yeah. Obviously, there's way more to it, but I'm just saying, like there might, and I mean, maybe he went through some of that stuff too. I mean, we're getting to like a really
hmm
rabbit hole here, but what I'm saying is that I thought
That
maybe each character was like representation of who he was,
and you know what?
of
I'm
who
pretty
he
sure.
is.
Don't
Excuse me.
quote me on this, but I think that like every interpretation is valid, right? I think the director never expressed himself in like he never said picked like pointed at one theory and said yes that is absolutely correct. So that's the beauty of works like this. They just keep you can keep reinterpreting them uh, in so many ways.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So yeah.
very interesting. I've been racking my brain around it, and I want to say what I just said is how I've interpreted everything. I want to say that each character you come across is a part of James. Maybe not. Maybe it could be
James.
all bullcrap, but I do. I think I like that theory a lot. Like
hmm
everything he's struggling with, and then I think the icing on the cake, or the shit Sunday, is the murder of his wife, which is it's a whole other thing with that because like he felt like it was the right thing to do. Like with that whole situation, his wife is dying. She's not the same person. She's
Uh,
really shrill to
excuse
him.
me, I
What?
have to interrupt you here
Sure.
because I need to know which ending you got. Because
Okay. All
one
right.
of
We,
them
we
kind
can.
of has like a key, as like a key element in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We can get into that.
let's talk about that.
I got the water ending, where
Oh
he
man.
kills himself.
Oh
But here's the
damn.
thing. I didn't think it was a bad ending, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think with everything you go through in the game, you kind of, in a way, you overcome your demons,
Kind of
and
get it.
like that when he makes. And I look, I'm not, dude. Suicide's
hmm
is a serious thing. I'm not making play on it or anything, but I feel like it's almost it felt authentic for him to be like. Have you seen that ending at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
He's
saw
like,
all the six original
okay.
ones.
Well,
So.
he's talking to what seems to be his wife's corpse in the back seat. That's what's implied.
Oh yeah, that's like the super. Yeah, this remake really verges in that theory. It was a really popular theory.
Yeah, well, actually, I think there was a before I say what I was going to say, I think there was a someone was able to crack the game, get in it, and they were able to move the camera around to that first opening area in the parking lot, and apparently there is a body bag in the back seat. So that's
Well,
kind
there's
of.
not a body bag. There's like a blanket,
Oh,
and
okay.
the
Yeah,
blanket kind of curves into the shape of what looks like a person.
yeah. Well, I mean, that would make sense because she always wanted to go back to Silent Hill. So
Well, here's the riddle me this. She died 3 years ago. Is he keeping
technically,
a rotting corpse in that car?
I don't think it's been 3 years, man. I think all that's in his head,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
All of it. I
Oh
think
man,
all of it's in his
dude,
head.
you're too good. I was trying to trip you up. You're
I,
too good.
I don't. I definitely
Yeah.
don't. No, I knew that from the jump when he said 3 years. I was like, one, Resident Evil 7 straight up ripped the shit out of this. You know what I'm talking about? Resident Evil 7.
Yeah,
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 but
of
like,
course.
oh, I haven't heard
Mia
from my
and
wife in
Bill.
2 or 3 years. Let me find Mia in this abandoned farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Same shit
Which,
anyway.
by the way, is Resident Evil is just so much sillier. because in Silent
is.
Hill you can do the whole thing. Okay, James is purgatory, and also he's that desperate, and yada yada. He's lying to himself. In Resident Evil, this guy is just completely like of sane mind. He's going into this super haunted building in the middle of absolute nowhere,
Hmm.
just because his wife might be there. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, just bring a team with you, right? Don't go alone. But yeah,
Yeah, it's no way.
parenthesis closed.
I'm never going that far for any woman ever. Sorry, babe, if you're watching this. I'm not. I'm not saving you. That's too. It's too far gone. It's all right. We'll move on. Anyway.
Bring the SWAT team over there,
Yeah,
right? I
dude.
mean, this
Yeah,
is
dude. There's no way I'm going alone. Yeah, exactly. Uh, but anyway, so I got the in water ending, and I know I looked it up online, and I didn't look up all the other ones too much. I didn't want to
uh-huh.
get too far into it, but apparently my ending was the bad ending. But again, to go back to what I was saying, it felt very natural to me because he had done all his fighting. He did everything he could do. He went out. He defeated. I don't want to say defeated the grief, but he was able to overcome the
Overcome it. Yeah.
he overcame it, and then when he's talking to what seemingly is her corpse in the back of his car
Hmm.
before he drives off the bridge, he says that I tried, I fought, but I can't do this without you. And I'm so
Hmm.
sorry for what I did, but I hope this makes it up to you that we can be together forever, or something like that. And then he drives off
Hmm.
the bridge, and then the last thing you hear is Mary, whatever she wrote in the letter. And it
The
was a,
actual letter,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
without the yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I
Um.
liked it. I liked it. I was like, okay, well, I don't feel bad about that ending because it's like, okay, well, he went, he overcame. Because here's the thing: any other, and I like, I know, I'm gonna let you speak. I'm just getting my thoughts out.
No, go
As
ahead.
far as endings go, like I kind of prefer this one over some of the hearings of the other one I've been hearing because of the other ones because
Hmm.
he killed his wife, dude. Like it's kind of
Hmm.
hard to like move on from that. Like you really, as far as in the terms of law, is you can't really get away from that anyway. And I mean,
As long as you don't get
alone,
caught, you know.
as long as you don't get caught, exactly. So like
Mm.
the way he went out in water, I don't know, it's kind of applicable to James. So what are your thoughts on some of that?
I actually kind of agree with you. I don't know where you heard that is the bad ending because there's no the game
Online,
never.
it said the bad ending, but
Yeah, I think that just people call it that, but I disagree. I disagree because I agree with you. It's not the best one, like it's not the
yeah,
most positive one, but it is resolutive, right? As you said, he did his, he did a little spiritual, what do you call it? Spirit searching. He found his answer, and his answer is, I cannot do this. Um, and you also get to hear Mary's letter, which is, I think it's a beautiful letter. I think that the actors did a really good job at reading it out as well. You know, the "You made me happy."
mm-hmm.
I was not shedding tears, but I was definitely very emotional.
Yeah,
Um, so that actually, really surprised you got it one, but I'm really happy because this is interesting. It's out of the three, like on a blind playthrough, it's the most difficult to get, I think, because the way you get, I don't know if you looked at how you get endings. Have you looked into that?
yeah. I looked into how because when you told me that it's subtle things that
Mm-hmm.
they do it a more subtle way, I guess you could say, as opposed to like, hey, make this decision in 5 seconds. It's not
Yeah.
like that. It's just very subtle. And I think one of the things I saw was uh, what was one of the one of the things I did see was if you don't heal yourself like to
Mm-hmm.
max
That's the
health.
big one. Yeah.
I didn't use a lot of my health stuff because I wasn't getting hit too often. I only got hit when I was getting like surrounded, and then I would heal. And I didn't really use my syringes all that much. I was using mostly just the medicine. The medicine doesn't heal you all that much. So, like, as long even if like in the indication of like where your health was like the back of James's jacket because like you seen all the blood,
Mm-hmm.
and as you drink the medicine, it would shrink and shrink before there would be no more blood left after you're completely like fully health. So like I wasn't really fully health a lot, and apparently that attributed to it that I was walking around
Yeah.
injured.
It's a big one. So, in short, without turning this into a lecture,
Yeah.
the way the endings work is that there's like a point system. Certain actions award points toward a certain ending, or
Hmm.
certain actions detract points from certain endings. And as you're, reaching to the top of the ladder to fight the final boss, the game kind of tallies up the points and sees which ending has the most. And in case of a tie, I think it kind of shifts to, well, it doesn't matter. It just prioritizes some endings over others. Um, so yeah, to get it in the one I think is the most difficult to get blind because it's the start of point, because each ending starts with a set amount of points, and in water starts with only 2 points, while the other endings end up with 3 and 5 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So that's why I was surprised. Yeah, and also what you gotta do is that what you get a point if you stay at like critical health for a certain amount of time. You get a point for like inspecting Angela's knife, the one with which she's been meditating suicide.
I say I didn't really do that.
Uh,
I saw that like inspecting objects, but like who's gonna think of inspecting objects? Like I'm not. I don't want to commit
well,
suicide. So why the heck would I be looking at a knife? You know what I'm saying?
well, that, well, that's fair. Well, the idea is that it kind of the game kind of tries to profile you, right? So if you were someone who's looking into knives and all of that, thinking about suicide and all, you're gonna get the ending where James commits suicide. Like that's the thought behind it.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I forget what are the other conditions, but you got them completely. Congratulations.
What
Uh,
about? Because I was kind of surprised, like because I was looking at something that was telling me like what all I had to do to get that ending, and I was surprised to see one thing I that I had done, and I didn't see anything about it. Was do you remember the sequence? I think it's when you get to the hotel. It's like you can pick up a rotten apple, and then an apple that is not rotten,
right.
obviously. Fred, yeah, ripe apple, and you get to this room with this broken mirror and you got to put all the pieces together, and then you choose what apple to put on the plate that projects into the
Mm-hmm.
mirror. Well, I didn't know it was one of those choose and then you can't switch back. So I was like, oh, well, I got two apples here. I'll just put the rotten one down on the plate. And then a
Mm-hmm.
noise, something happened. I heard like a chime or something. And then nothing else happened after that. So, like, I didn't even know what that did. I didn't
Well,
know, you
what
know,
that did is that it made the one of the three statues you need. It made one of those statues appear in the other room. The three statues. You need three like a Cinderella, a Little
oh, you
Mermaid,
talking about the
and
little,
I
like,
think a Snow White statue.
oh, you talking about with the little
Yeah, it.
musical
Yeah,
box?
I
Yeah.
think that makes appear the Snow White statue. I think that's what that does. And it's like, the apple, the mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall.
Oh, okay, okay.
Uh, so yeah, well, but that's the thing. I think like the game doesn't tell you that's the beauty of it, right? It is that you got drawn to the rotten apple and not the ripe apple for a reason. You're drawn to death. That's the reasoning behind it.
Well, I did honestly like, and
uh,
I was like, I put the rotten apple down. I was like, oh, can I switch the apple out? And I was like, nope, can't do that. And
no, no, no.
there was another thing too that I'd done something over the other, and it wouldn't let me go back
Yeah,
to it. I don't remember what it
once you
was.
defeat the two pyramid heads, you get a scarlet egg and a rust colored egg. You gotta
Oh,
put both into two doors, and depending on which door you go through, you get, you kind of balance towards a different ending. The scarlet egg puts you towards the Maria ending, and the rust colored egg puts you towards the other two endings.
hmm,
That's what it is. You
interesting.
probably went through the rust. Yeah, you don't even notice them. Yeah, man. Like with this game, you don't get the full experience in one playthrough. You just don't. You don't notice these things in just one playthrough.
Right.
But what you said is right. I mean, this is a really heavy game, and I think it's kind of the fact that you don't feel like playing it right away. I think it's a kind of a good thing in a way. It means that the game got to you, right?
Yeah.
So
It's making me think about what's real, what's not. It also talks about yeah, it's very psychological, like with a lot of
mhm,
things that like especially when we've all been through grief and really dark moments in our lives, and like you ever have those moments where you'll be, and I'm not trying to spook you, but you'll be in bed and you look in the
mhm.
corner and you think you see something, but you're not
Oh
sure,
man.
but you keep seeing it and it won't leave, and no
Hmm.
matter what, you can get up, turn the light on, go to the bathroom, come back, it's gone, you get back in bed, it's there. It's one of those
Oh
things,
man.
like it's just like, and I know it's spooky, but it that's kind of how it's all psychological. It's all like what we think anyway. And I think that's why with like the whole with James's whole thing, I'm still curious to see like who James is as a person. What really happened between him and Maria? Was it her sickness? Was it something else? The whole sorry, with Mary, excuse me. With
Hmm.
Maria, is that I know she looks like Mary, but is that supposed to be a thought of who he wants her to be, or is Maria based off of somebody that he was seeing on the side when all this stuff was going on? I think there's more guilt there than just killing his wife. I think there's way more going on here. I think it's like an onion. It's got so many different layers, and I think yes, killing his wife
Hmm.
was obviously you killed somebody, not just somebody. You killed the woman
Hmm.
that you had made a promise that you're going to take care for and love for the rest of your life, and you did not do
Hmm.
that. You found a pillow and took her breath away,
Yeah.
quite literally. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what if there's any more information when it comes to
I
that.
never heard this theory, but that's really. I mean, there's a lot of things to interpret. Like in the remake, it's a bit subdued, but both of the first times you see Pyramid Head, he's kind of forcing himself onto the other monsters.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah. What
subject
the hell
of
was up with that?
rape is also. Well, I mean,
Like,
the way most people see it is that it's James's sexual frustration, right? So obviously, just like Maria, he's kind of. Well, I don't think he's horny. I think he really is just pent up. It's a difficult situation, and he doesn't get any ways to vent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in the when you fight him, and I never thought about this, but until I looked back at the original cutscene, but when you fight him for the first time, well, it's not really a fight. You're running around until he decides to give up. He In the remake, you see him, he's like holding one of the line figures, the one that spits acid. He
Yeah.
just shoves it away. In the original, he's like pushing it towards his crotch as you enter.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's like you walked in on him. So
Huh.
there's that.
Yeah. Well, I think, and then go back to like the monsters and everything, right? Like they're all again just things that James has seen, right? Like it's not, and
Hmm.
obviously they're not real, but like when you go into the museum before you get into the labyrinth, like you see there's a picture of Pyramid Head up on the wall. Now I
Yep.
don't know if that was the first time he ever thought about him, but oh well, they went to Silent Hill before, right? And so like
Yeah, they did.
maybe they went to the museum and he saw that picture. Maybe he saw that,
Hmm.
and then with like
Could
how
be, yeah.
like the nurses, like, which are tanks, by the way. Good God, man, those
Hmm.
things were bullet sponges. But like with the nurses, and then with the, I don't know, like the two lower levels stitched together, where there's like legs up here and legs on the bottom. Those enemies where it's
The
like,
mannequins.
I guess, yeah, where it's like it's just,
Yeah,
it looks like there's legs
yeah.
up top and legs on the bottom,
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
the
thing.
mannequins. Yeah.
Yeah, like all that is kind of, you see that as you walk through these areas, you can see like pictures of them in like different spots. Like I want to say there's
Hmm.
pictures of these mannequins like on like manuscripts or pages or up on the wall or something. And I think it's the attention to detail is really cool. Like everything he's seeing is, and I don't think I saw anything about like the spitters, the enemies that like spit the acid.
The
I don't
line
know if
figures.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I saw anything like
Well,
them on paintings, but
the most popular theory is that they look like someone that's like bundled in a straitjacket.
mhm.
So it's a feeling of frustration, again, right? And the way they spit acid, you can see it as since it's so pent up and everything. When he does vent, it comes out as something overly negative, like putting a pillow to your wife's face. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty negative.
yeah, which by the way, that cutscene, hard watch.
It is.
It lingers on like just enough to make you
I
uncomfortable.
think they did a good job of, yeah, like not focusing on it, but you like because like even
Hmm.
when they show the footage, like they show it, but it's kind of like fuzzy because it's
It's
on
distorted,
it's
yeah.
on VHS, so like it's, yeah, very distorted image, and but you know what's going on. You can tell it's James. You can kind of hear her squeal a little bit, and she's like trying to move,
Hmm.
take the pillow off. Yeah, no, it was heavy, man, and when the and I kind of, and the sad thing is because the game's been out for so long, I kind of knew the big twist already. I just didn't know, like, I knew the destination. I just didn't know the journey. I didn't know everything that was
Hmm.
going on with James, and so I knew that he had killed his wife. But to see that scene and to see the grief on his face and this denial almost like he's sitting in his chair watching his VHS tape and seeing like his life play right at where he can see everything. He's witnessing
Mhm.
what happened, and he's been trying to block it out this whole time. You know, where's my Mary? I'm gonna find her. And little you murdered her, man. And it's like, and that I don't know, like just talking about it, it's just not a fun game that I want to go back to right now because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that, and again, it's quality for sure. Bloober really outdone themselves with this one. I'm really happy about it.
No.
So, what ending? What ending did you get?
Well, the very first time I got the vanilla generic ending, which but it is the one I prefer. It's the leave ending, which is very similar to In Water. By the way, one thing I didn't say. Based on which ending you get, you face someone else as the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
The boss fight is exactly the same, but in the In Water and Leave endings, so by the way, we're not going to cover the other endings because I mean we're going to mention them, but they're not part of. They're like bonus joke endings,
Yeah,
so
one's
they're
with
not
like a
really part. You can,
UFO and one's with a dog, right?
yeah, we'll get there. Um, so they're not really. I don't think they are to be, considered in a discussion about the game lore. They're mostly just there for laughs,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who's mad enough like me to play this game multiple times. Um, so in the In Water and Leave endings, which are both endings where James kind of admits his guilt, he admits his guilt and he goes over to face it. Right, you fight against Maria. You go there and you find Mary, and she goes, "James, you're fine. We can do it again." And James is like, "Maria, I can see through your bullshit. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
done. We can't do this anymore." And she transforms you fighter. The difference in the Leave ending is that he doesn't kill himself. He actually kind of somehow finds the will to go on, and he finds it through Laura, which kind of makes me think that Laura is real because he seems to be leaving St. Hill with her. Maybe he's going to take care of her, and this is his way. Since Laura and Mary would have wanted him to take care of her. This kind of maybe that's his way. He sees it as his way to make amends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you also and one thing you get in that ending, which is what makes me like it so much, is a cutscene where he kind of has a heart to heart with Mary. You see him sitting in the hospital bed that you usually see here, right in the VHS tape. It's probably not real; it's on his head, but again, it's him making amends. He goes and says this thing you said, which he starts by making excuses, right? He goes, "Yes, right, I knew you were suffering. I did it for you, right?" But then he kind of stops and says, "You know what? No, let's cut the bullshit. It's not just that. It was also me being selfish."
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I really like it. It just him just putting it out there and him kind of admitting that, and also hearing Mary, read the letter and saying, "Thank you so much." Like I wouldn't trade, even though the time we spent together was short. I wouldn't trade it with the world.
Yeah.
You made me happy. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, is also the title of the Platinum Trophy, which I think is beautiful. You made me happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Can we talk like the acting is superb in this
I
game,
know.
man. That was
Yeah,
one thing neither one of us
incredible.
have really mentioned yet. Like the acting is absolutely,
Hmm.
yeah, it's incredible, dude.
I
Incredible.
agree. Yeah, Ed is so creepy. James is so believable. It's
Yeah.
just this guy who's just is done, right? He's went through so much. He has barely any strength to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Angela is this broken mess of a person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, no, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Maria is this very ambiguous character.
Yeah.
However,
Very mysterious, seductive, but also,
off-putting a bit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I've seen some scenes of her in the original game, and then reference it back to what I was playing, and I was like, yeah, Maria is definitely not as. I mean, she's definitely still flirty, still got that, but she's not as. Because like the Maria in the original game was almost like James, if you want to, I know you're going grieving, but there's a corner over
Yeah, she was
here I
gonna.
can just give you. Some.
Yeah, she was gonna jump on him. He's like, I don't look like a ghost, do I? She goes,
Yeah,
uh,
dude. Yeah, she was something else. Like, bro, like this dude looks like he wants to die, and you're like, hey, I got some booty if you want it. um,
Speaking of Maria, the
yeah.
third her, let's say, classic ending. I don't know how you call them. Is James not admitting his guilt? He does not fight Maria. He fights Mary. Well, a representation of Mary. Um, and in the ending, you see him trying to leave Silent Hill with Maria. And not only that, as they're approaching the car, Maria starts coughing, indicating that
Uh,
she's probably going to die the same way Mary did. And I know this is not supposed to be canon, but the achievement or trophy you get for unlocking the ending is titled Vicious Cycle, which kind of makes you think that James is just going in loops, right?
mhm.
He's kind of trapped in this hell.
So could you have made the to go back to the ending I had, which
Mhm,
like so after you beat Maria, she's on the ground and she's like James,
mhm.
James, like just kept saying your name over and over again. And
Yeah,
do you have to shoot her right there?
I, yeah. I mean, what I do is I hit her with the steel pipe, but
Okay, sure.
I think so. I think so. Though I don't think that was in the original. I don't remember at least. And I think what that is that that's putting the final nail in the coffin, right? This is like it's her like pleading for mercy, and James is not having it. He's like, "No, I made up my mind. I need to get rid of you." I mean,
Right.
that's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like there was like something else that triggers if you don't shoot her because I waited for
Uh,
like 30 to 45 seconds and nothing was happening and she just kept
I
saying
waited for like I waited
yeah.
for like a good 2 minutes and nothing happened. So,
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So
um,
we went over you said that inning where you just leave with
leave.
Laura. Then there's
Hmm.
mine, commit suicide.
Hmm.
Then there was the one you just mentioned about leaving with Maria. Come to find out she's
Hmm.
probably sick, just like Mary was. So what's the so what that leaves three more
That
serious type
leaves.
endings, right?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
Let's
you said
go.
you said six altogether, right?
Yeah, six
That are
altogether.
serious. That are serious. That's the two that's like
No,
silly.
no, I did not say that. No, 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 no. So
Oh, I
okay.
thought
So
you.
how
I
it
thought.
works?
I'm pretty sure that's what you said. Okay, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
let's maybe I said it wrong. So let's break it down. Let's talk about the original first, because I think that's easier. In your first run, you can only get Leave, In Water, or Maria. Those are the only ones you can get. On a New Game Plus, certain items appear in the game, which make it possible to get other endings. Two of which are joke endings: the UFO and the dog ending. One of which is a semi serious one. It's called Revive ending, I think. And what you need for it, you need to find four items that can only be found in New Game Plus. You need to find like a tome of like some sort of black magic, a certain liquid, like a white chrism, I think it's called. You need to find a goblet and a fourth thing, something another book called Lost Memories. If you have these four items in your inventory, then that overrides any other ending. You go beat Maria with this and with these four items in hand, and you get the revive ending, which the first thing that happens is that when you go to face Maria, James kind of is quicker to dismiss her. So in the ending, example, when you saw, she hugs him and then he slowly pushes her away. Well, this time he's like right off it. He's like, "Yeah, I know you're not. I know you're not married. Let's do this." Um, and she goes, "But what do you mean? I'm everything you wanted." And he goes, "No, I can get Miri back. There is a way." Um, and once you beat her, you see him on Toluca Lake,
Mm-hmm.
going towards a certain island, and his monologue says something about Sun Hill still hasn't, like Sun Hill still having some sort of spiritual aura about it, and how the old gods still reside here. Like he's talking
Mm-hmm.
about this very cryptic stuff, and that's all you get. Oh yeah, and presumably Mary's corpse is also on the boat. So presumably he's trying to revive her through some old black magic ritual.
And they just leave it right
Uh,
there.
they leave it at that. I think the implied message is that just like the Maria ending, this is just James feeding into his delusions.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Because I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if he could bring her back, he would just undermine. the whole game. So, uh,
Yeah, that would be pretty
um,
wild. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. I think I love stories like that where it's like what we're talking about now. Like you just leave it. A lot of it's left up to interpretation. There's nothing really ever concrete. And yeah, I mean, obviously him going to revive his dead wife. Yeah, that I mean that wouldn't really fit with the story of Silent Hill, but I'd be interested to see how far that goes, and I wonder if what James does after that when he tries it and it doesn't work, or is there some kind of crazy ass ending where because it's still in his mind, maybe he does, maybe it's like a pet cemetery type thing. He puts his wife in the ground, she comes back to life and kills him, or maybe you got to fight her. That'd be
well,
wild.
that would be wild. So, actually, I might have an answer. There was also another little fan theory was floating around, which this remake kind of seems to gravitate towards. Try to validate without actually doing it, and that's the infinite loop theory. The idea is that James is stuck in an infinite loop, right? Just like when he, unless he gets the leave or in water endings, because in those he either kills himself or leaves. With the
Mm,
Maria, it seems like he's just going in circles, right? So what did he just changed one partner with another who's also going to die and probably put him through the same grief, and then he's back at the starting point with a rebirth ending, especially because he's faster to dismiss Maria. It seems like he's already done this before. Um,
oh, yeah, yeah, right.
yeah, and the fact you can only get it on New Game Plus is also kind of a hint, right? Maybe they're trying to blur the difference between game mechanic and narrative. Maybe we are getting through this again, and James is as well. So maybe if the ritual fails, he just goes again into another,
Mm,
pantheon of negative emotions, which brings him back to the. Um,
right.
that's the one I choose to believe in.
So all right. So there's that. So we talked about my ending, your ending. Then there was the Maria ending. Then there was the ritual or the revival.
Yeah.
And then we talked.
Hmm.
There's UFO and the dog. Is there one more?
Which are the there? Okay, so that's it for the original. Uh, in the remake, there's apparently two more, but I can't talk too much about them because I haven't figured out how to get them.
Oh, okay.
I actually didn't. I wouldn't even know they are in the game if it weren't for the fact that when you beat the game, you get like a tally. You get like ending explored, X out of 8. I'm like 8. Like holy smokes. Um, but yeah, I'm unprepared. I don't know what those are about. But
Hmm.
could make a fourth playthrough any day, and just figure that out. Well, you know what? To sound less crazy, uh, on New Game Plus, you get a bonus weapon. You get a bonus weapon. You get pretty much the what in Resident Evil is the unlimited rocket launcher. You get that, and
Uh-huh.
this one is the chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly that. You find it near the Sand Hill Ranch. There's some woods care there. As you're approaching it, you find it, you pick it up, and you never let it go. This thing's one shots everything, except bosses. Bosses, it takes like 2 or 3 hits to kill them.
Mm-hmm. That's still,
Otherwise,
yeah, it's still crazy. I mean, it's a lot. So, is that the last kind of weapon that you can pick up in the game? I mean, I
that
guess
is
if
the
you got
last.
that, you don't need anything else.
Yeah, I am a little disappointed. The original game had way more weapons. You could get Pyramid has knife, and the base game, like not even as a bonus, like New Game Plus kind of deal. You get it in the labyrinth. Well, you can get it in the labyrinth,
Well, that's what I
and
was
while
really.
you
I
have
was,
it equipped, you're like
yeah.
slow as hell. You're like dragging it.
Well, they kind of play into that a little bit when you're in the labyrinth, when you're
They
cutting
did.
through those little. And I was like, oh man, don't tell me I get to keep this because that's now this game then turned into like one of my cloud strife. I'm not a I'm not a soldier. So like the sword's heavy as shit, and I'm just dragging it. It's like what if Cloud wasn't a soldier and he's just dragging that shit
Pretty
everywhere?
much.
That's what I thought I was about to
I
be.
was hoping for. Me too. I thought that was it. I was like, oh, okay. So now you get it like through story progression, but no, he just fucking leaves it there. Once
Hmm.
you get through the hallway, he just drops it, and that's it.
Yeah. So we've talked good things about it. I'm interested to see how those other two innings go. And like I said, I'm really interested in the narrative. So as we both find out more things, we definitely need to come back to it for sure.
Hmm. Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so
sure.
so we've talked a lot of good things. Now we're going to get to the negatives. What do we got as far as
Okay.
some negatives or nitpicks? What do we got? What do you?
Oh man, do I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. On the top of my head, so the first thing, so the combat, I did praise it, at the beginning, and you did say something that's very valid, right? So it is a bit awkward, but it makes sense in the context of James not being a fighter, right? And
Hmm.
even if you are a fighter, I don't think nothing really prepares you for supernatural monsters. So, um, however, with this game really leans on into the fighting a lot more than the original. You fight a lot more monsters here, and honestly, in the original, the monsters weren't too much of a threat unless they overwhelm you in numbers. You could pretty much, like, even with the tank controls, you can just swing by them with with enough ease, unless you're like in a cramped space. Uh, with this one, they lean a lot more into that, and I don't think it. I don't think they should have, because I think it didn't get old for me, but it might be because I was just in awe with the game. I think I'm biased, is what I mean. I think the game, like from an objective point of view, has just a little too many encounters, especially with the mannequins. You know how
Yeah.
they're hiding. I had like I posted a clip where a mannequin genuinely got me by surprise and scared me to the point with where when I killed it, I was just stomping at it like out of frustration because
Yeah.
um but by the end of the game, you're kind of tired of this gimmick, and you can also see it coming. You can see
Yeah.
them, just running around, getting into position.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say about them, yeah, I was right there with you because, like, at first it was kind of, I had a couple jump out at me, but the thing is, I always, when I play like third person shooters, I always do like the cover thing anyway, where like I'm going around a corner, I'm already like,
Hmm.
my gun's already drawn. So even if there is an enemy there, bam, that's it, you know?
You're
Uh,
ready for
but
it.
one thing I did like about this is that they have this really cool gameplay mechanic where like you'll hear somebody calling for help, and it's really cool, and you'll go into the room
Hmm.
where you can hear it, especially when you got a headset on, and you go into the room
Hmm.
and it's one of the mannequins, like it's calling
Yeah,
for help to get you in there. And I think that's wicked, man. I think that's awesome. Like that's a really
that's
really
fantastic. The sound design, I mean, as one last praise, the sound design in this game is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
I
so
mean,
good.
you hear yeah, just to add on to the hellish landscape. You know what? I've never been as scared of a place, a fictional place, as I've been in Silent Hill, because it is the most close representation to hell on earth that I can imagine. Like, even again in Resident Evil games, there are scary places I really want to be. But even those ones, you get save rooms, right? When you feel safe, there's a nice little tune playing in the background. You can save, you can manage your items, you're kind of at ease. Silent Hill, you just don't get that. You're always on edge. You're always faces with these degrading, very unesthetic, horrible looking places. Your ears are constantly being ravaged by sounds of machinery, sounds of flesh, and sound of these monsters like squealing in the background. Um, so yeah, again, sound design, top notch.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and like I said, I think that they do a good job of using the dark, right? Because like yeah, like you say, like
mhm.
there's not too many games where it's like there's a dark ass hallway and I don't know what's in it, and it could be anything. And then like when you get attacked, you don't know where they're coming from, and so you're just swinging all around, and you finally find your target. And man, when you get that satisfying stomp, and you're like, "You piece of shit!" Just scared shit.
Yeah.
Like that feels so good. Like it's so good. I'll
Uh,
give you a negative. I won't put
let's
the
hear it.
spotlight on you. This might be controversial, but I
Okay,
think
I'm ready.
this game has way too many puzzles. And not even the fact puzzles. It's puzzles within puzzles. That towards the end of the
Hmm.
game, because I was trying to finish the game, That
Hmm.
was very annoying, and it could have been that. Like I was trying to finish it so we could talk about it on the show. As you guys know, sorry by the way, we didn't even mention this. We are supposed to do this show on Tuesday. It got pushed back. We just had some things going on. So we weren't able to get to it. My plan was is that I was going to play it all Tuesday morning, and then at two p.m. my time, I was going to be ready to talk about it. That was the original plan. Well, anyway, when we didn't do the show, I got occupied, and I wasn't able to go back to it till like the day after. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant at this point. Um, when I was trying to really push through, because I knew I was getting close to the end of the game, but I knew I was still like a couple hours out. I was getting hit with puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle, and to get this puzzle to finish this puzzle, and to go this puzzle to get this puzzle. And I'm playing on light mode when it comes to puzzles. Combat I kept
Hmm.
standard, but I knew going into it because I know Silent Hill enough to know there's puzzles in it, and I knew if there was some, I don't want the easiest way. I don't want things just given to me, but at the same time, I'm trying to enjoy the game. I don't have a lot of time. And if I'm sitting here for 45 minutes looking at a puzzle, I'm going to be pissed, like really pissed, because I don't have a lot of time. And I don't want to be a cheater and look it up every time. But I will admit this, towards the end, I was looking shit up because I couldn't take it anymore. I was getting so pissed. I'm like, are you dude, bash the fucking door down. Why do I need this key to do this? Like that musical box one, with the
uh,
statues, and you put them in there.
oh yeah,
That
that's the
one,
big one. That's a big
that
one.
one ran me through a fucking ringer. I could not figure out what to do. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, so I'm like reading. Like, I finally get to the first part of the puzzle, and then at the bottom, there's like little
Okay,
uh what were we gonna say?
little like keys.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And as soon as I understood what to look for, I was like, okay, so this is just a number. So that's the many times I need to turn the key. I got all that, but that first part of the puzzle was like so frustrating, and I was like about to lose my shit, and I had to watch a walkthrough just to learn what I was doing. I was like, oh, that's what it is, okay, and then I got it. But I'm like, it's just I thought it was way too many puzzles, man. I know you probably don't agree with that. I don't like puzzles in games. I
yeah.
used to know didn't mind them that much, but now it's just I guess because my time is so short and I already feel stupid 95% of the time, and I don't like getting stuck in a video game with a puzzle. Like if I'm getting my ass kicked, that's different. But a puzzle, then I just start feeling not that intelligent. Does that make sense?
Mhm. No, no, I get you. I mean, I share your sentiments when it comes to that, but I cannot agree with you when it comes to these games puzzles because I think they're well balanced. I'll tell you, and not only that, I think the puzzles themselves are really tasteful. I think they're really tastefully done, except that one you just mentioned. I don't mind collecting the music, the little statues, but figuring out the exact combinations of key turns for each statue in order so they can make their little dance and get to their little doors in time, so that the little huge music box can pop out a key like a coin slot. I hated that. But usually, I think they're, how should I say this? They're they give you enough hints to know to kind of push you in the right direction, except for okay, so the last one, which is the one you just mentioned, I mean, that's supposed to take a long time. It is the final area. The game really wants you to get through all four floors of the hotel until you find all three of them. But usually, dude, I mean, maybe I'm talking about this because playing the original, I mean, the original has ridiculous puzzles. Even playing on like easy difficulty, there are some things that I am convinced nobody ever figured out, and they always read like the official walkthrough.
Mm-hmm.
I may have already said this once, but there's this one part in the original where you have to open a hatch, but the hatch has no handle. So, how do you get the handle? You might ask, right? Well, you know how you get it. You need to combine three specific items. Now, let me tell you which ones, and then I want to see you guess how these three items get you a handle. All right, a lighter, a horseshoe, and a wax doll. You need to know. And by the way, in the original, you don't get the game kind of tells you which items are combinable. There's none of this here. You kind of have to know that you can combine items. It's a and to like I don't know what has to go through your head to think that you can combine those three.
Yeah,
And you know what
I'm trying to even picture how a handle would look with that, and
you know
it's
what
not
you
working
do.
out.
You know what you do. It's okay. So you burn the wax doll. So use a lighter to melt the wax doll so it fills the slot where the handle goes. You stick the horseshoe in so that when the wax solidifies, you can use it as a handle.
Wow.
Did you get that? Right?
There
So,
there was actually one that reminded me of that. Was there one? I think it was. What's the area that has the pool? Is that the hospital,
no, that's the.
or is that the what? Is that the
I think
apartments?
that's. Oh
All right,
man,
sorry. I'm not being specific, man. There's two places with
I
a
think
pool. So there's the apartments that has the pool, where it has the. I almost called them the
the coin
infected.
in.
My bad. Yeah, they had the coin in the pool. But then there was
Hmm.
another one. There's
That's the
another pool.
hospital, I think.
Yeah, where
Oh
you're.
no, or maybe it's the hotel. Oh man, I feel so. No, no, no. It's definitely the hospital.
I
I know
think it
for a
was the
fact it's the
hospital now,
hospital.
because
And you know
yeah,
why?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You know
It's
what I
like
really like?
what you
Sorry
got?
if I'm interrupting you.
Oh, go
I,
ahead.
I really like how certain areas get really twisted in the overworld. This is
Hmm.
something that's kind of remake um, put a lot more effort in. Like when you get to that pool, it's not even a pool anymore. It's like a hole that seems to go all the way to the depths of the earth.
Yeah,
It's
dude. By the
fantastic.
way, speaking of holes, man, James is not afraid of holes. Let me tell you that. This dude jumps down in so many
Yeah.
holes.
Well, yeah. I many people say that's symbolic of him. Just going down a rabbit hole. He's going deeper and deeper to either find out the truth, or he's going deeper and deeper in a darker mental
Yeah.
state. However you want to see it.
But you mentioned the doll, the lighter. It kind of reminds me of there was I think there was something I needed. I don't know. It was something. I feel like it was something with that. Oh, I know what it
Oh,
was.
I think I know
It
what you
was
mean. Yeah.
for the pump to pump the pool down, and you needed to take like a syringe, something
Uh,
else, and to make like a
you,
hook so you could reach down into the
yeah.
hole to grab a key to open up the
Yep.
latch
Yep.
for the pump. And I was like. Like it kind of made sense after I put everything together, but I was like, what the hell do I need a needle for? And this, I'm like, what the hell
Yeah.
is
A
that?
needle
Yeah,
and a rope. Yeah.
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, but yeah, whatever. I kind of,
Yeah. You shape the needle to look like a hook, and
yeah, that's
you
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
used to fish the key out of a hole. Yeah.
Like I think you could maybe
Mhm.
use something else, but okay, we'll
Mhm.
go with that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
I've played Resident Evil, so they kind of do some
what
dumb
else
shit like
could
that
you
too.
use? What else could you use? Like a magnet? That's the only other
Hmm.
thing that I can think of. I mean,
Hmm.
the hole is obviously like way too small for anything to go through.
I mean, if you found like a coat hanger, right? In a hospital, they gotta have coat
Oh,
hangers.
that's good. That's real good, actually. Yeah,
That's probably. I mean, if I was in that
I agree.
situation, I would use a coat hanger, and then I mean, and then if you still need the rope, you could use that. But a needle, and by the way,
Yeah,
I don't think the needle would bend like that. I think it would snap. If I'm being honest, but we're
you
talking
think
about
so?
logic. We're talking about logic
Yeah.
here
Okay.
in this
That's
video game, so we need to stop that.
yeah. Okay. So
Oh
what I'm trying to say is that most of the puzzles got either
yeah.
removed, like the harder ones, or they got diluted. Like the one where you choose which noose to pull.
Mm.
You have to read, like inscriptions, kind of figure out what each person did, and based off on that, you have to pull the one that's innocent. In the original, there's a similar one. You pretty much have to guess which one is an arsonist, but there are two different in two different rooms in two different floors, and you constantly have to go like back and forth. So
Hmm.
again, they streamlined this uh,
Yeah.
this time through.
Yeah, I do remember that. Is it different every time, or was it the same? Is it the same? So whatever noose you pick, does it matter? Because like I think I just picked the first noose I found, I pulled it, and then
If you pick the wrong one, you end up in a room that's like full with enemies.
oh, well, I got lucky then
Yeah, yeah, you
because
did.
I pulled the first one, and that was it. Um, One thing that I was really not liking, and actually I cut it off within the first like day I had the game, was like when you would start getting damage, your screen on the edges of your screen would turn red. I cut that trash
Mhm.
off. I couldn't.
You're so right for that. I did it as well. That completely ruins the aesthetic of it. It's so distracting.
Yeah, I don't understand with it, but they did give you the option to cut it off. Something else that kind of annoyed me too, and this is again now we're nitpicking because
Hmm.
I at the end of the day, I think the game is quality, but there is a couple things. Um, I thought the radio signal was a little irritating.
Hmm.
My radio, like the radio frequency that whenever the enemies popped up, like it was cool at first and it kind of had me on edge, but then after a while, like it was getting really annoying. And oh my god, if you play the game without a freaking headset, Jesus Christ, your controller is spitting out that noise, and it woke my baby up a couple times because it was so loud, and I'm like, dude, there had to been like it's so damn loud. And I get it; it's supposed to kind of be like
Yeah.
shrieking at you almost, but
Hmm.
I thought that was kind of. I know there. I know. I feel like you're about to tell me this. I maybe not, but I know there's a trophy where you play the game without the radio on, right?
Hmm.
I'd be
And you know
interested to.
what?
If I play through it again, I might cut it off. I don't
Well,
need
you
it.
know what? Well, you know what? Yeah, I actually kind of think you should do that because the radio. I mean, they kept it because it's a tradition. Every original Silent game has that. So the idea is that for those who don't know, basically the radio alerts you of enemies. It starts shrieking when there's an enemy nearby, but it lets also the enemy know that you're there. So by turning it off, you're going into danger blind, but you might have a better chance at escaping the enemies.
Hmm.
And honestly, this brings me to another nitpick, and the reason why I actually think you should just turn that shit off right away. Uh, some enemies like the mannequins hide, and for some reason, while they're hidden, the radio doesn't pick them up, which makes it useless.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
the reason we want it is for hidden enemies. If an enemy's in plain sight, I don't need this shit shrieking in my ears to figure out if there's an enemy, right? And
Yeah.
also it can fool you. It can throw you off the scent because there are these little bugs who are barely any threat at all. You
Dude.
just stomp them, they die right away. The radio shrieks at them.
Dude, it's so
There are times
loud.
when I think I have enemies around and it's just these fucking bugs. So yeah, just turn the shit off. I mean, keep it on for the novelty of it. I remember the first time when I was a little kid, like way too young to play these games. I was,
Yeah.
entranced to the radio. I was like, oh my god, this is like the scariest thing ever. This is the most genius horror anything ever made.
Yeah.
But now it's like, yeah, okay, it's cute. It's cut,
Yeah.
let's cut the feed. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. That was starting to kind of. But again, I think everything I'm talking about you can cut off. So it's
mhm.
I don't even know if they're real. I'm trying to think. I feel like there is something else that was biting at me at one point that was kind of frustrating to me. I'm trying to think what it was. It
Um,
wasn't the backtracking because I mean I'm Resident Evil guy, so I'm all about
yeah,
backtracking. There
and
was
also this
something
game
else.
makes backtracking really easy. It has like a lot of shortcuts.
Yeah, a lot of shortcuts. Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know, dude. I think if I try any harder, I'm stretching at this point. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I have too many other nitpicks. I mean, I might have some here and there, but oh, I know one.
Okay.
The performance isn't the best. I notice when you're not in interiors, when you're outside, I feel like it struggles.
It definitely does. No, I not always, but there are points, and I'm like, okay, I think like the PS5 needs a minute there because
Yeah, you can hear it breathing hard.
yeah, but you know what? The PC version is way worse. In the
Yeah.
PC version, um, when you have the first transition from cutscene to gameplay, you have James like overlooking the forest near the town,
Hmm.
and then it switches to gameplay. When that happens, I see not everyone, but a lot of people have complained. It drops to like 5 FPS for a good 10 seconds until the transition is done.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuttering in the PC version as well. So I think we're better off.
Yeah.
But But I think that's not even a nitpick. That's an actual complaint. Like, polish your dang game.
Yeah,
Don't wait
yeah.
for an update. What am I gonna do with my disc if it doesn't have like a functioning version of the game on it?
This game has just get off the nitpicks and stuff for a second. This game has DLC, doesn't it? Isn't there like extra stories within this?
Oh, we didn't talk about that. Yeah, they're probably gonna do a DLC. So Separate Ways from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
How that was in the original and in the remake, they kind of released it a few months later as DLC.
yeah.
Well, this history might repeat because the original version didn't have this, but the later releases, so the Xbox, PC, and the PlayStation 2 re-release, now based on the region, it's called something else, greatest hits, platinum, whatever you want to call it, has, among other things, an extra scenario called Born from a Wish, where you play as Maria. It's very, very short. Like, you get through it in like 2 hours, even
Mhm.
like if you're going in blind. But it is weird that it's not here, and I do think that they're gonna, drop
Dude,
the
there you go.
release.
And they just I think they and again I think that goes back to my theory. You saying that because I do remember reading "Born from a Wish." I mean, that's obviously referring to Maria, and James
Born
wished
from a Wish. Yep.
James was wishing that Mary was more like this figment of his imagination, who's Maria, this embodiment of who he really wants, as far as is that from a I don't know, from a several standpoint, right? From Mary, from a
Mhm.
sexual standpoint, just a the way she was acting around him, acting like that James is her world, right? Like, I mean, all those
Mhm.
kinds of things James was lacking as Mary was pretty much on her last leg. I mean, I know James ended up killing her, but she was towards
She was
the
gonna
end
die. No, I
anyway.
mean,
So,
so one of the thinking, going back to the 3 year thing.
mm-hmm,
So James kind of twisted it a little bit. So the doctor said that Mary only had 3 years left to live.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, she was gonna die anyway, which does not in any way condone or excuse what James did.
No,
But there's that.
no, yeah, no. That's I don't know, man. This is an interesting one. It's crazy. It's so crazy. We've been talking about this for over an hour and a half. That's how, and there's probably even more things that we can
There's
discuss with
so
this.
much
But
more we haven't said.
I'm excited for
I mean, the
Silent Hill.
labyrinth.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, that whole sequence. I don't know
that is
what.
just the game just goes
Yeah, it
ape shit at
does.
some point.
It does, man. I honestly, I don't even know what's my favorite. I mean, I'd probably say the labyrinth was the most unique of all of
Mhm.
the areas, but um, I don't know, man. That the apartments was interesting. I guess that was like because it was like the first area, and it
The
was
first scare, yeah.
yeah, and I guess it just had this feeling, and you really feel like holy shit, I'm in Silent Hill, I'm in this apartment, and it felt so isolated and gross and disgusting, especially when it flips and but the
Mhm.
labyrinth is pretty crazy,
Yeah. You know what? I have like a love hate relationship with the labyrinth because I love it from a conceptual standpoint, but I hate being in it. But
Yeah,
like for the good reasons, because it's like a very uncomfortable
yeah,
place
it's
to
very
be in.
claustrophobic. Yeah.
It's confusing. It keeps shifting. I just want to get out of there as soon as
Hey, I
possible.
will say one of the holy shit moments where I might have had a little bit of shit come out was there was a part where you drop right into Pyramid Head's room
Oh,
in the
yep,
labyrinth,
yep.
and he catches you and he's running after you, and you got to get up this ladder, and he's like right breathing down your neck. I will say I was
Dude,
shrieking a little bit there. I was like,
dude, that
oh,
was,
oh, okay.
yeah, dude. Man, God, no, same. I remember there was a point where, where you just described, you can enter in a room and then you have to like destroy a wall, and I didn't know he could go through doors. So it's like taking my leisurely time off it. And I was as I was like sliding through the hole I made,
Yeah,
this
he's
guy
grabbing
just
at you.
yeah, he slams his huge knife at me. I was like, oh fuck. Uh,
Yeah, dude,
oh
he was
god.
dangerous. I don't know if he was. They didn't really use him like I thought they might. I thought maybe because again, this is coming from somebody who didn't play the original game. I thought maybe they were going to
Hmm.
kind of have him like a Mister X type thing where he's going to be a little bit
Hmm.
more on your ass a little bit more. I kind of appreciated that that wasn't the case because
Hmm.
I'll be completely honest with you. Going to that game for a second, I don't love that mechanic because I do
It's
like
kind
the
of annoying.
fear of. At first, it is fear, like oh shit, he's coming. Then it's like, dude, get the fuck away! I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I mean,
move some shelves, man. Leave me
yeah. Oh my
alone.
god, the part when you gotta move the shelves while he's chasing around, and then you figure out you moved them wrong, so you gotta go back. No. Well, he does haunt you here, but not gameplay wise. Like he shows up a lot in cutscenes.
Hmm.
He shows up in places where he can't really reach you, like behind bars in the apartments.
Yeah,
Um, so no, I agree with that. Yeah. Ooh, what about Toluca Prison? Because I'll tell you, I don't like. Well, I don't like it as much gameplay wise. Just too many rooms, just too many of them.
yeah.
But aesthetically, dude, the first time you flip the switch, you turn the lights on, you see a myriad of mannequins climbing on the walls, climbing everywhere. I was like, oh fuck, where the fuck have I just been to? And the fact you didn't even enter the prison, just end up there by jumping through a hole,
Hmm.
just makes it even more creepier. I'm like, okay, I'm in hell now. Like
Yeah,
this is the
yeah,
closest thing to hell. Like,
yeah. I was like,
um,
I was kind of like, I was skittish at first when I first saw the mannequins crawling on the wall and stuff. But then
mhm.
they were starting to get in. You know what? Just go back to other nitpicks. They were starting to get
Okay.
kind of aggravating too because, like, and again, like I've calibrated my headset, so now I can really hear a lot better.
Mhm.
And like I'm sitting there playing, and I can hear them crawling everywhere and I'm hearing the radio going off like crazy, and I'm like, all right, come out. Let's go. I know you're out here somewhere. And they wouldn't come. And then finally, I could hear they make a noise right before they jump at you. So I'm like, okay,
The
aside, I go to the side and then I stomp the shit out of them. And it's like all that for like two hits.
yeah.
Like I was kind of like, I was getting to a point where that was starting to kind of get old, but not like I was not having fun anymore. It was just like, it's just
I
too
get you.
easy.
And actually, I was wondering that too. I was wondering why you hear them so much when you can't see them. And that's when I realized that they are crawling all around the prison. Like all the prison is a connected area.
Yeah.
You can see like a lot of rooms that from some rooms that connect with other rooms in ways you don't really realize at first. So and then when I saw that, I figured out that these mannequins are moving from room to room, and that's why the radio is going crazy all the time because they are literally in the walls. They're just moving all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really creepy at first, but then it kind of started to
Yeah, I mean,
get a little
yeah, the
old.
fear factor fades.
But
Oh, what about the bosses? That's like the last topic I think
oh,
I
the
think about.
bosses. I mean, so I only died 5 times in my playthrough.
Oh man, good.
So I was doing okay with combat, and I didn't really have too many things kill me. I don't even remember. I died 5 times, but I could not tell you where I died at. I didn't really feel like any of the
Hmm.
bosses were cheap. Some of them were just kind of, including the final boss battle. There's a part where you're just in that open building, that open space, and Maria or Mary is sending those birds at you. That's not too bad. The
Hmm.
part that was frustrating me was when you fall through the hole and you're like in this abandoned building and she's up top of you and she's like
Hmm.
trying to like hit you from the ceiling and she is still sending
Yeah, the flies
the
or whatever they
flies your
are. Yeah.
way, and I couldn't figure out a good angle on her to shoot her. Like I know she's right above me, but she kept moving as soon as I would aim at her, and I was like, "Come
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
man!" So I'm just running
Yeah.
around in
You
circles.
kind of have to wait for her to get
Yeah.
down when you
Eventually, she
get
would come
there.
down, and you could sit there and pump her full of lead for a minute. But I thought that fight was okay. Didn't really love it. I think the one that was most interesting was Abstract Daddy. I thought that was a really well
Uh,
done one because you were moving from place to place, going down different corridors. I thought that was awesome. That was a good
Yeah,
fight.
and
That was probably the
that's an
best fight.
improvement on the original. An
Yeah.
improvement from the original. Like even Masahiro Ito, the original director, he went on Twitter or X, whatever, and he actually congratulated with Bloober. He said, "You did a better job than us. Congratulations!" Like I,
Yeah.
with my hat to, and I do agree that that fight is great.
Yeah, it's a
Abstract
great fight.
Daddy is just as a monster, like as a design, is one of the most disturbing ones.
Yeah,
I feel it just does not look right.
yeah, yeah, I
Um,
agree. It was fun, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel. I'll be honest with you, Jan. I didn't feel the same way with any of the other ones, and like,
mhm.
and then towards the end when you have the two pyramid heads, which was kind of weird. Like, why was there two of them? I thought that was a little strange, but it wasn't really a fight. It was again, it was another one of those things like you just hold them off until they ultimately end
Mhm.
up killing themselves because and you even get a trophy that pops up that says you overcame what was your
Uh,
torment. I don't remember what the trophy
what
name was called,
you
but
kill was obsolete or something like that because Jim
yeah,
says I don't need you anymore
hmm
because
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was also a little bit underwhelmed by that fight. It was a little bit too easy.
yeah,
The music was there, the spectacle was there. I like how they actually throw the spears at you,
yeah, yeah. That was cool.
but I agree, it's kind of yeah, it's not that difficult. You're just like going backwards and shooting.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm trying to think. What are the
Flesh
other
Flip,
ones? The flesh
Flesh
slip
Flip.
was okay. That was all right. Not nothing crazy
Uh,
though. I still didn't
yeah,
love
I
it.
think as a first boss, it does what it needs to do. Um, a little fun fact. So you know how when you beat it in the cutscene, just another one snatches you from the ceiling.
Hmm.
So in the original, you get to fight that one and another one all at the same time. You fight three fresh flesh lips in this closed room. That's like
Yeah,
the I really like the bosses in the original because you're always crammed these very small rooms with these very bulky monsters coming at you.
yeah.
That's why I like the new Abstract Daddy so much more.
Yeah, because it kind of had that same feel, right? You're going down tighter hallways. Like all the other
Hmm.
boss fights were more of like semi-open areas, and you end up having so much ammunition, man. Like
Hmm.
now, don't get me wrong, some of them are super bullet spongy. So after the fight was over, I'd be like, damn, I got like only 5 bullets left. But then
Hmm.
this is at the time they were throwing ammo at me. I'd go down the hallway, and before you know it, I have 20 rounds again, and I think some of the boss fights are some of the weaker parts of the game. I think it's more of like a mental thing for James. Like he's seeing these like larger than
Hmm.
life. I mean, you're already seeing these monsters, but then these monsters that just had look so disfigured and so disturbing. Like especially with Abstract Daddy, like you said. I mean
Yeah, you
that
can
was
tell what's
far as
up from down.
from a design standpoint, yeah, I mean, definitely the most frightening one, and honestly, the most unique fight in my opinion. I thought that was
Hmm.
so
I
well
agree.
done, the way he moved. Um, yeah, I have nothing really bad to say about that one. I think the other ones are just more of run, 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 shoot, run, shoot, run, shoot, and before you know it,
Which
then a
again,
cutscene happens. You know.
just like Resident Evil, really.
Yeah, what did I say about Resident Evil? I think the boss fights in those
Hmm.
games are honestly my least favorite. I don't like the boss fights in
Hmm.
Resident Evil at all. I think the only
Yeah,
one that I like, you haven't played. Have you played Village yet?
not yet.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil
I
too
was gonna
much.
do it at Halloween this year, but
Uh,
I preferred Alan Wake 2, the DLC.
yeah,
So
that
you
does
know,
look good. By the way,
I went for
I
that.
still
But I
got
will play Village. I will.
I still got to finish. I still got to finish Alan Wake. But yeah, like in Resident Evil, the same way. Like the boss fights are my least favorite, and there's only one real good boss fight at the end of Village that I really enjoyed because it switch it up and it's
Well,
so crazy and wacky. It's like okay, I can deal with this, but
you know what I'm gonna tell you? I like the boss in Resident Evil a little bit more, even though they are, as you say, kind of always the same thing. The spectacle is there, and that's what I like about them. I
mhm.
mean, fighting Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 in all of its different forms, like it's always kind of it's always a show. It's always a thrill
Yeah,
ride for me, especially the very final form where
yeah.
he's huge here in this whole room, and he's taking half of it, and he killed it, but just by sticking this huge electric like proton gun or whatever it is into his mouth. She goes, "Next time, take a fucking hit." Fucking blows a huge hole through him. That's what makes me like him.
Those games are so ridiculous. They're fun though.
Yeah,
I love Resident Evil.
yeah. They're like the polar opposite of Silent Hill in some
Yeah,
ways.
they are. Like they have some of the survival horror aspect, the jump scares, things like that, but
Mhm.
they don't have and I think just as like part of our closing thoughts for the game, I think what separates this from any other like I mean, I'm even putting like the Last of Us combat system and atmosphere in it as well because we love the Last of Us, and I'm not
Hmm.
saying that I prefer the combat in Silent Hill over the Last of Us. Obviously, the Last of Us and Naughty Dog they do really well with that when it comes to Uncharted and Ratchet and Clank. Well, they don't do Ratchet and Clank, but you know what I mean. Like they 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 just do a really good job with combat and atmosphere. But this game, I think, from a standpoint of it, it's really hard to describe it. Hearing whispers in your ear telling you to go kill yourself, seeing writings on the wall that says you're going to hell, pretty much. This constant
You're going for a
state
different
of
place than Mary.
this constant state of dread, knowing that there's no sunny days from here. You're just going further and further into this abyss. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake. The people you come across, the situations you're in, the monsters you come across, the bosses. Uh, I mean, are you even firing a weapon? Are you even firing a gun? You don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, and then half of these endings where that it implies that he committed suicide. Did he do it? How far did these endings go? And I think that the team Bloober, I think the original Konami, I think they did a good job of really leaving everything to the viewer and the player. And I've had way more thoughts about this game more than almost any other survival horror game I've ever played. And I like to Resident Evil, and I like to say I'm happy that I kind of got you into that series. I love Resident Evil
Hmm.
for a lot of reasons, but I just think this game challenges you mentally, man, because I think there's so many interpretations, there's so many things going on, and I'm still interested to see, you know, all of it. And then I probably won't get half of the answers I'm looking for. And I think that's what made PT. I was talking about Silent Hill PT before you came on about how interesting that was looking. That was looking to be
Hmm.
kind of in that same vein as Silent Hill 2.
Man,
Like, what's real?
made by Kojima, dude,
Dude,
that would
it's
have
gonna be
been.
wild. It's gonna be out there anyway, just with Kojima behind it. But just to see what it could be and maybe have its own modern take on Silent Hill 2. It's not Silent Hill 2, but it was kind of
Yeah,
leaning towards that same kind of, like
I
the whole
probably,
time loop
yeah.
and then the fetus in the sink talking to you about how, you know, I saw something the other day where, where the fetus is in the sink and it's actually you don't realize that it's the baby talking to you, but it's actually is like
It
this
is, I
baby.
actually never knew that.
Yeah, yeah, it's talking to you the whole time, and you don't even know it. Like, don't touch that dial, things like that. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm kind of fumbling. I guess really what I'm trying to say is I love how mysterious this shit is, and I'm
Hmm.
kind of happy I don't have all the answers because it makes me talk about it more. And it's so exciting. I'm talking to the wife about it because it's so interesting. So my main takeaway, man, I enjoyed my playthrough. I think I'm gonna take a little break though, but I will revisit this, and I'm excited for the future of Silent Hill, whatever they end up doing next.
Well, you know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. I think you just encapsulated what makes this game so special, right? It challenges you, it throws these really heavy things at you, and it keeps you guessing. It does not give you answers. It's very unapologetic about it. Um, and also, I think that's what makes it a great horror game because what's the main cause in horror? The unknown. As soon as you know, most games and movies and whatnot kind of lose the horror factor, the scare factor, as soon as it unveils too much about what's haunting the main protagonist, right? I think the fact this game is so mysterious, that the entire town is so mysterious in its nature, you never feel at home. Like you never feel like you know really what's going on. That what keeps you on edge for like playthroughs and playthroughs on end. And you always find out more like little hidden stuff. Like there's this one prison cell in Toluca prison where if you enter, like there's like a lot of scribbles in the walls, like some satanic shit. And when you get in there, you can hear like a chant, like some sort of like cult like chant. Um, and it's little stuff like that, man. It's really good, and I do hope they remake the other ones. I really do, because they should remake one. They should have started with that. I understand why they started with two. They really should remake one. They have and three. Like if they just remake those three, I'm happy. They can stop there.
Hmm.
because those are the great ones. I mean, some would watch for four, and sure, I would push for that, but I don't want to be greedy. I say, let's remake those two, and then I'll let you off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely if this team is the ones that are heading the projects, man, I think we could have a really nice like trilogy on our hands. And honestly, I really hope this works out, and we do get something like if we don't get a new Silent Hill, just like you say, remake the other two because I've never played really any of them, so it's going to be a new thing for me in
Mhm.
general. But also because the not to get off the subject, but I heard Dead Space. They made the Dead Space remake and
Yeah.
they have Dead Space 2 and 3 and they canned it. They're not even remaking those games anymore, which really
Really?
sucks. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I guess cuz they said that the remake of Dead Space didn't sell that well, which is a shame because that's a great game.
Well, I
But
mean, but are they at least gonna re-release Dead Space 2? I mean, because that, like, in any shape or form, because it would be a shame to just
they're
not
throwing, dude. They're
have
throwing.
that.
They're throwing all that away, man. They're not. They're not
That's
gonna. They're
terrible.
not gonna reboot it, which really, really sucks. I don't. I guess it didn't sell that well. It just. I don't know. I don't know how that. I guess because that's a whole other subject. But
Dude,
the reason why I
yeah,
bring that
money,
don't
money, money.
the
Yeah.
reason why I bring that up is because I'm losing that franchise. I would love that just from a newcomer. I'd love to see more Silent Hill, and I think this has great potential, especially. But you know what, dude? It's like I just get worried. I don't know if it'll have the same oomph as Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2, I'm like all about
It
James
won't.
and all that stuff.
Like,
So
like I'll tell you right now, it won't. There's a reason why they remade this one first, because it's like, it's the apex. It's the one game everyone talks about. The other
yeah,
one games aren't even this much psychological. They do have the psychological element, but it's not even like the main theme. The main theme is a bit more grounded.
yeah,
Uh, the town is a little less abstract. It makes a little more sense. Like, sense. It gives more explanations, right? It's
yeah.
tied to a cult. It's a whole thing. You'll get into it if they remake it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, either way, I'm really interested. But yeah, I think that's all I got for it, man. I really enjoyed this game. Like I said, I'm gonna take a little break, but I think really I just enjoy more talking about theories and things that we called on, things that we saw differently. And then I think like you say, it's just like with most games that are like this, you do have to play it another time because you always miss something. So, but yeah, and I think that's all I got for Silent Hill 2, man. What do you let why don't you everybody else just let us know what you guys think about Silent Hill 2? I'm sure we'd like
Please
to.
do.
I think we'd like to hear from it. As always, be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. We have our link tree in each respective social media page. So be sure to follow us everywhere. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell for more shows in the future. We have the back end of the year, so that's always exciting with countdowns and we're going to be talking about Metaphor Refantasio, at least the prologue. We'll see how that goes. And I think that's going to be our next topic for the next show, at least one of the topics. So we got a lot of things going on for Deadhead Podcast, and I hope this isn't the last time we talk about Silent Hill. Jan, as always, I do appreciate you, brother, for talking about this with me. With that being said, Jan, anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Well, I just really wanna thank them for sticking with us. For thick and thin, even with our schedule changes, with our format changes, they're here with us. They're listening to us, and I just want to let them know, you made us happy.
That's well said, man.
That's it.
I do thank you guys for checking us out. I know that with the channel and the show, we've been a little bit more spotty. I think it's just with everything going on. I mean, my daughter's crying right now, so I actually got to see what's going on with that. I know the wife's
Okay.
got her, but I want to give the wife a little bit of a break because she's had her. But yeah, I mean, I think with everything going on, I've kind of put not just the show, but the channel on the back burner. But I really appreciate the guys who check us out week to week, and I'm excited to come back here and do this every time we do it. And we'll try to be more consistent on a specific day. That way, we're not hopping all over the place. Because I think the past few shows we've kind of done that, and we don't have a
Yeah.
set. We don't really have a set day anymore. We have to get back to that. Just so everybody knows when we stream. So, but anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for checking us out for another episode of Deadhead Podcast, episode 59. There's our thoughts on Silent Hill 2 remake and all of its glory. Let us know what you guys think. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next one for episode 60. Stay dead, my